Hello, everybody. This is a interview I did with the very, very cool Duff McKagan on March 31st, 2009. Great conversation, wonderful interview, and I hope you think so as well. So let me know. Bye.
Hey, Duff. How are you, man?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. We actually met a couple times in the past during the Velvet stuff, and
Yeah, I remember you, man.
Chateau Marmont. I did a big story on you for an English-based magazine, and I mean, how much is this different than the Velvet thing or the gun singing? And I'm not talking musically. I'm talking more sort of, emotionally and what you invested in it, and sort of being the captain of this ship and the approach. And I mean, does it feed your soul in bigger ways maybe than those other projects? I mean, how would you describe all this that's happening to you?
Maybe it does in that that's a really amazing way you just put it.
Thank you.
Because it's healthier for my soul. Not saying that Flash isn't healthy for my soul, but some things that happened during the journey thus far with VR. There was just a ton of drama, things I couldn't contain or even put my finger on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little lost. And for me, being a sober guy, and it's either me sober or me 6 feet underground, I start swimming around, and that's not healthy for me.
I understand.
So, this is something that, number one, is containable. Number two, there's a lot of humor in this band.
Mm-hmm.
VR is very serious, very... And when things started to get heavy with Scott, things became more serious. There was no joking.
Mm-hmm.
We get on tour bus and it's silent. It's like, sure, So, I really needed this to happen. I didn't, and in saying that, I didn't try to make Loaded happen again. It just did happen again. We would play every couple of times every year during the whole VR time anyhow. And we decided, we'd always knew we were going to make a second record after Dark Days. We didn't think it was going to take 8 years, but things happen for a reason. And I think last summer we started writing these songs for this record and getting just hanging out together. I was back home in Seattle with my family. We come up here every summer and spend the whole summer. And if I'm on tour, my family's here anyhow, and that makes me feel better. Anyhow, I think it's a better place for my daughter. So I feel more secure up here in Seattle. I feel smarter in Seattle. More intellectual and cultural town than Los Angeles, by far.
Yeah.
There's a coffee shop here, and people are talking about books. Let's read, for example, and just being with these guys, it's funny all the time. Mike Squire's guitar player, he has an IQ of something like 160.
Wow.
Really smart guy. And so we talk about politics and the economy and discovery and esoteric things, and it's great. And we do crossword puzzles. We're nerds, man. But I like being a nerd.
Yeah.
And that's really who I've always sort of been. I think I'm maybe a kind of a cool nerd,
Exactly. Yeah.
But I like, I grew up in the punk rock scene here in Seattle that really nerds are forward thinking, and it's okay to think differently, and you don't have to do what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to play Journey songs in a bar. You can write your own song.
Interesting. I mean, does this maybe have the energy that GNR did in the early days? I mean, without the kind of the madness and the drugs and stuff. I mean, does it have that same kind of thing for you? That same kind of fire and organic kind of thing, where it's just kind of building on itself and growing, and you really don't have to push it. It's just kind of feeding on itself.
Well, it started with, hey, let's make our second record. Let's do it. That was 2 Christmases ago. We played a charity show here in Seattle. And winter of, I guess, 7, right? And then, by spring of '08, I knew this DVR tour was going to be coming to an end. So last summer, when we simply got into a room to start hashing out the songs, there was, out of nowhere, out of left field, this inspiration happened within the band. And it became really exciting and really great and really these hooks and weird pop like melodies and these really hard songs, really like heartfelt songs like Mother's Day and Wasted Heart and kick-ass like rock songs like I See Through You and Sleep Factory and Flatline. It's just like, wow, all this stuff is happening. It's really great. And, we did a little record deal, and we just thought we'll make a little record and let's go to the UK and play some gigs here in the States and go back to Japan, where Loaded is actually big in Japan. And we were big in Japan from the Dark Days record.
Wow.
We got on and played there a bunch of times. Got up to where we were selling out every place to play, and it was great. So we really got small, though. We did a little record deal. We made this record for $20,000.
Wow.
We didn't need anything more to make it. We were ready to go. We were in the studio. We just went in, and the record sounds more urgent, I think, as a result of, hey, we don't got time to fuck around. We don't even have time to have lunch. We don't, man. We got to get this, drum tracks and everything done today. I think the record is healthier because of that limited budget. Then, we decided to put out the EP in Europe and go tour there last fall. And the tour was amazing. We sold out. We did our own club tour and small theater tour in the UK. And the EP, I guess, I wanted to go to the UK because that's where Guns broke first and where Velvet broke first. And I thought, well, if they like those two things, maybe they'll like this thing. And we can get some solid ground underneath us. It's hard to break in the States as your first thing, simply because you got to travel so far between cities, number one, and that radio here. Well, the politics of radio here.
Yeah.
It's so tough. So we decided to start over there, and we went back to Japan in October, and it was great. And record's coming out now, and it seems like things are picking up. Gotten really good reviews on the record. They've sent me, like, wow, no shit. Q Magazine likes us. They hate everything with rock. It's pretty great, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But we have, we're playing downloads. We're playing Rock 'em Ring and Rock 'em Park, and playing some great radio festivals here in the States. And I think we have booked so far. It's been really great. People want us on their festivals, so cool.
That is great, man. So the music, Duff, was stuff more of the moment. I mean, you weren't sort of collecting licks along the way, or recording little guitar riffs or that kind of thing. It was kind of in the studio, and the things just kind of developed there.
Well, no. We definitely, like, Stick was a song we wrote back in 2002. Wasted Heart was a song I wrote in 2006, I think, or 7. I wrote the whole song. And Forgive Me was something I'd written outside of the band, but once I brought it into the band, that's when it really, I wrote it on acoustic guitar, so. But then, once we started talking about making this record, two winters ago, is when we started. The great thing about GarageBand and MP3 is, hey, I got this riff.
Yeah.
And you send it to everybody. So everybody starts going, oh, okay, shit. Well, and then, Jeff Rouse will send me something back. Well, I like that riff, but what if you changed it to this? And all of a sudden you can write a record, man, but doing this, because I was in LA, these guys were up here, or I was on the road, and one of those guys would be on the road, but in context. So by the time we got into the rehearsal place at the brewery, we rehearsed brewery here in town. Crappy little room, you know, smells like rat poo. We got in there. We kind of had an idea of where we were going.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. So, GarageBand has been a killer tool.
That's cool, man. So, I mean, let's talk about some of these songs here. I mean, "Wasted Heart" is, you know, one of the ballads, like you said, one of the lighter moments here. I mean, I get kind of a Stonesy kind of thing. Is that an accurate description, or did that influence come from somewhere else?
You know, I don't. I mean, I know I'm influenced by everything I've heard. Whenever I've written a song, I don't. It's not because I've been listening to the Stones for 2 weeks solid, you know, and then I'm gonna write a song kind of like that. It just Wasted Heart happened. I try a lot of different tunings. Tunings I don't even know if they're legitimate or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just tune a guitar to like G sharp minor with a suspended, you know, something.
Yeah.
And write a song.
Interesting.
You know, tunings to me lend to opening up your guitar.
Definitely.
And wow, what's this? If I lay my finger over here and put my pinky here, well, listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
And Wasted Heart was one of those songs. I forget what I tuned the guitar to, open A or something. And it came with, you know, and the melody of the verse came right away. It does sound like a Stone thing. I wrote it about a kind of difficult time in the riff dictated what the melody was.
Mm-hmm.
The melody dictated to me what the song was going to be about. And that's how it always happens for me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And Flatline is the first single.
Yeah.
Duff, I mean, was that how you wanted to sort of introduce, I mean, you know, Loaded 2009, you know, I mean, to an audience again? In other words, was that song sort of, you know, most representative, or was it just simply, that's a good radio song? I mean,
I think it's because it's a good radio. I don't know what, you know, you would think I would know.
I would think.
What good radio is. I don't know what it is anymore. I don't know what anything means, but that song, I go out and do songwriting for other artists. And in the last couple of years, I've gone to Nashville a couple of times with some guys down there.
Wow. People
request me to come and write.
That is freaking great.
That's a huge honor, right? And,
yeah.
This guy, Brian House, you know who that is? Right, from Vancouver, BC. And he writes for, you know, he wrote the whole Ender record and produced it. And bands that I'm not really, you know, I don't know much about.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nickelback and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's like this godfather up there in Vancouver. And he had asked my Chrysalis if I'd be interested in coming up there and writing for some artists, yeah. So I went up and you know, sometimes you can sit down with a guy and it's not going to work.
Exactly.
And sometimes it will. And we wrote a couple songs, and then I heard him play this riff. I'm like, well, what's that riff, dude? What riff? I was just fucking around.
Yeah.
No, that riff. Is this? And we started writing, and then we came up with that. This is the only song on there that I wrote with somebody else outside of the band. And I wrote it after the record was done. And I'm like, dude, this song's got to be a Loaded song. I brought the song down, and I asked the guys in the band if it was cool, you know, like, hey, man, wrote with this guy up there, but great, no, let's record, let's cut it. So we went back into the studio and cut it, and it just kind of, like, well, this could be our first single, you know, and it kind of worked like that.
Mm-hmm.
My manager heard it, he goes, yeah, this is definitely, like, radio. You know, this would be a good way to get your foot in the door. And then it'll get somebody's ear trained to sort of the minorness that is Loaded, kind of off of left of center.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they'll open themselves up to to IC3U through this Sleeve factory. Yeah.
Interesting. And there's some horns on the Blind Date Girl?
There is, yeah.
Horns. Yeah, your Stax influences, huh?
You know, I've always been kind of, there's a band from Australia called Saint. Yeah, I love the Stax shit, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a punk rock band from Australia, like 1977. They're called Saint. And they influenced a lot of bands. And they were influenced of Guns. and there's a song called Move the City that we did on our Guns first EP. And we had horns on it. My brother plays horns on it. And Guns would always have horns. Live or Let Die, or,
That's true.
And my brother always played the horns. And so we were up here in Seattle, and that song, Blind Date Girl, seemed like I heard horns in it. And it all comes from the Saints, man. It all, for me, it stems from the Saints. And my brother wasn't up here in Seattle. He lives down in L.A. He called some guys, and they came in the studio, couldn't pay him much. And they kind of blew those horns. Great.
Wow. Yeah. That is so cool. So, I mean, obviously a major change is you playing guitar and singing. I mean, did you know specifically that you didn't want to play bass in sort of this other project, whatever project it might have been? Did you know that wasn't going to be the case, or did it just kind of, materialize where you had, found this other rhythm section? I mean, we know you as a bass player. Why are you playing guitar and singing here? Come on.
I've always, every song I've ever written was on guitar, whether it's for Guns or for VR or for old punk rock bands. And I used to play guitar and sing in bands, and I used to play drums in bands too. I made a record on my own in '93, and I played everything. I would go and play the drums, and I played bass and guitar, and I'd sing. I knew, and then I went and toured that record right after the Illusion record. I went to Europe and toured, and I played rhythm guitar and sang. And then Neurotic Outsiders was my first band in 1995 out of sobriety, and I was playing rhythm guitar. Steve Jones was the lead guitar player. And I sang a bunch in that band, and it's way easier for me to sing and play rhythm guitar than it is to play bass.
Yeah.
It was like a million times easier.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the idea of Loaded started, and I was, okay, well, I'm going to sing, I'm going to play rhythm guitar. That's just before Guns. It was me. Jeff Rouse, the bass player for Loaded, I think is a better bass player than me. In a lot of ways. Really creative, really solid. So I lucked out there, finding one of the best rock bass players, unknown to many people until maybe now, hopefully. But it's easier for me to play rhythm guitar. I have a rhythm guitar style that I think lends itself good to this band.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, you knew there was going to be a second guitar player. I mean, you weren't a lead player per se, but
Squire's been the guitar player in this band since 2001.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, how is Mike? I mean, obviously Mike is different than Slash. I mean, if we turn that question around, I mean, were there things that you learned from working with Slash and, with Axl and Scott and Matt, and as much as what to do as much, what not to do, more kind of really musically speaking. I mean, did you learn how to get a good, rhythm guitar sound from watching Slash, or learn how to, step up to a mic watching Scott? I mean, did any of that rub off, or was it more kind of subliminal stuff,
I think anybody'd be lying if they said it weren't influenced by the people that plays with. In saying that, I certainly haven't tried to mimic anything they've done. I probably learned the most about rhythm guitar playing, like what a really good rhythm guitar player is, from Izzy. I mean, he was probably, the ultimate rhythm guitar player.
Yeah, he was great.
Yep. All those polyrhythms and stuff he played. But I probably learned most of my guitar playing from my earliest influences. Like, my style is more Steve Jones from the Fistbooks and John Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
That style, that's what I gravitate toward. I don't even know what Flash does on guitar. He and I warm up together before a gig. I'll play bass, I'll play guitar. We'll play the different songs or whatever. We'll play riffs. And so I've seen him play for years, and I know how he plays, but he thinks, it's all what comes from his brain, God knows what goes on in there.
Yeah.
Flash, when I met him, we were 19 years old. He was already, had this old soul.
Yeah, he does.
Playing guitar.
Yeah, he does.
He's a freak of nature, man. That's it. He's just so talented. I mean, he's one of those guys good at anything he does.
Yeah.
If he decided to play basketball tomorrow, he's good. So, I don't know. Squires is definitely a different guitar player than Flash. But Squires is 36. So he grew up, playing with Flash and George Lynch. And those were his idols.
Interesting.
So he comes from a different place than I do. I'm like, really? George Lynch was your idol? I get it,
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I mean, Duff, do you have any interest in sort of, guitars that you're playing or amps? I mean, going for the ultimate rhythm tone. I mean, does any of that feed you, or do you go for any kind of, cool kind of sounds in the studio, any of that kind of stuff?
I go straight. I don't have any effects. Because I don't want to play any effects in the studio because I don't want to use any effects when I play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to think about hitting the pedal. I'm
Yep.
playing it and already playing guitar. So that right there, I know where my box is. I have this Marshall head that I bought in '92, I guess. It was modded by Bogner. It was hot rodded by Bogner.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's comparable to, when I go to Europe, I rent the JCM 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Comparable to that, but nothing's like this head I have up here in Seattle. And I use an old beat-up Marshall cabinet that I've had since 1990 or something. I think it was Flash that used on Appetite. Just this cabinet, and so that's my sound.
Mm-hmm.
The chord, and I use I have a couple Les Pauls, but I use in the studio and live. I have these two. They're called Bernie guitars, and I bought them. I didn't buy them. They gave them to me in Japan. At the Les Paul, but in Japan they can copy this stuff exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And these Bernies, you can't get them here because they're illegal. But I swear, they sound better. And I even had, I don't want to really say this, but
Go ahead.
these Bernies accomplish my sound. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Better than any other guitar. And so I used the same guitar for the whole record.
You did.
The same setup, same guitar. I only messed with the volume knob on my guitar.
Mm-hmm. Cool, man. Just a couple more questions, and I'll let you go, Duff. So, Duff, in a perfect world, what happens now? I mean, what happens if, the record takes off and they're clamoring for you to, fill stadiums and, or the Velvet thing, I don't know, falls back together, or, I mean, what happens for you next year?
I don't know. One thing I've learned is that I don't know what's going to happen. I know in the next 3 months, I have dates booked that I'll be playing. But where am I going to be at? 6 months from now? I couldn't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't try to figure it out anymore. I'm in it secure enough in my own skin now that I can let things happen.
Mm-hmm.
I know I have to take care of my daughters. and my wife. Other than that, musically, I let it happen, and I'm really, really happy right now musically. I'm having one of the best times I've had in a long time. Music with Loaded, and I hope to have to spend. I don't want to wait another 8 years to make another record.
Mm-hmm.
I want us to make a record every couple of years now, and I hope for this to be my band that I go into my 60s and 70s with or whatever. You can't say that's too old anymore because you got the Stones and Iggy, leading the way.
Slightly. Definitely. So, I mean, do you stay in contact at all with Slash? I mean, do you talk to those guys at all? Or?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, is that still a real, I mean, is VR still a real...
Yeah, we haven't made our best record yet. We wrote a bunch of new material last summer, and it far and above our best material.
Wow.
I think because we were back in that place of, like, up against the wall.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we performed the best. So, we're actively looking for a singer. The guy's got to be not just good, but great.
Yep.
Have greatness, and so that'll happen when it's meant to happen. I'm not sweating it, but we haven't made our best record yet.
Wow.
We all know we have to do that.
That's cool. And I mean, have you heard? I mean, Chinese Democracy. I mean, do you have any comments on it or?
I don't really. I've heard it in. And the voice sounds great, and the rest of it, people have asked me like, "Is it weird for you to have a Guns N' Roses record come out?" To me, it's not all of that at all. It's maybe if I would have got kicked out of the band in 1991 and the record came out this year, I would probably felt hurt. But you got to remember, I left in 95.
Mm-hmm.
And I left because the thing that we created in 85 was over. Mm-hmm. And it had been over probably since 1989. Mm-hmm. And we were just kind of chasing our tail, trying to get that back. And it wasn't meant to be. And so for, this record to come out now, some 21 years after we made Appetite, and for it to have any sort of effect like, oh shit, my band. It's not like that.
No, I'm sure it's not.
Actual thing, and I always have. That'll never change. But as far as the band or the songs, are completely unfamiliar to me. There's some good songs I really like. There's some songs I don't. Mm-hmm. But that could be any record.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's great, man. I really appreciate it, and I mean, I really am, happy to see that you're not for want of a better description, another casualty. I mean, I'm really glad to see that, some guys are able to pull back from the edge and, lead a good life and find love and marriage and kids and, and the music thing's great, but, it kind of comes secondary to, a good life. And I'm just really happy to see that, man. You're a very talented guy, and I dig the record.
I really appreciate you saying. Yeah.
Cool, man. So you take care of yourself, Duff.
Oh, you too, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.